Alien Council mocked humanity. She lifted one finger in reply. Part 1. The doors to the Galactic Council chamber stretched 300 meters high. They opened without a sound, though Sarah knew they weighed more than a battleship. Everything about this place was designed to make visitors feel small. It was working. She walked forward, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. The chamber could hold 10,000 beings, and today it was full. Thousands of alien species had come to watch humanity's first petition for membership. Sarah could feel every eye, sensor, and consciousness focused on her as she made her way to the speaking platform. The platform itself floated in the center of the chamber, surrounded by rising tiers of seats that spiraled upward into darkness. Lights from 1,000 different worlds illuminated the space, each species preferring their own spectrum. The effect was dizzying, like standing inside a kaleidoscope. Sarah reached the platform and stepped onto it. The surface adjusted beneath her feet, rising slowly until she was visible to all. She wore a simple blue suit, the formal diplomatic uniform of Earth. No weapons, no technology beyond a basic translator implant. The Council's rules were strict about what newcomers could bring. A voice filled the chamber, though Sarah couldn't tell where it came from. It spoke in perfect English, though she knew every being present heard it in their own language. The Council recognizes Ambassador Sarah of Earth, representing the species known as humanity. You may present your petition. Sarah cleared her throat. She had prepared a speech. 3 months of work had gone into it, crafted with help from Earth's best linguists and diplomats. She had memorized every word. Honorable members of the Galactic Council, she began. I come before you today to request full membership status for humanity. We are a young species, but we are eager to learn. We bring unique perspectives and a strong desire to contribute to the galactic community. We believe that despite our youth, we have much to offer and laughter interrupted her. It started with a chittering sound from the left side of the chamber. Sarah turned to see the delegation, creatures with bodies covered in gleaming black chitin. Their compound eyes reflected the chamber's lights like disco balls. The chittering grew louder, spreading to others in the room. Then came a booming sound that vibrated through Sarah's bones. The beings of compressed gas held together by electromagnetic fields were resonating with what she realized was their version of laughter. The sound was so deep it made her teeth ache. More species joined in. The whispers, telepathic beings who appeared as floating clusters of light, began pulsing in patterns Sarah's translator identified as extreme amusement. The who looked like walking crystals rang with high-pitched tones. Even the smallest species, the mouse-like Pip, were squeaking with what could only be mockery. Sarah stood silent, waiting for it to end. Her face remained neutral, though her hands wanted to clench into fists. She kept them relaxed at her sides. Finally, the laughter died down. The voice that had introduced her spoke again, and this time Sarah could identify the source. A massive crystalline structure floated in the highest tier, refracting light into impossible colors. The Archon, the oldest member of the Council and its current leader. Forgive us, Ambassador, the Archon said, though its tone suggested it wasn't sorry at all. Your optimism is quite entertaining, but let us be clear about reality. Humanity is not ready for membership, perhaps in another 1,000 years when you have matured as a species. Sarah opened her mouth to respond, but the Archon continued. Let me detail exactly why your petition must be. First, your age as a species. You have existed in your current form for what, 200,000 years? The youngest species in this council is 17 million years old. You are infants trying to sit at the adults' table. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Second, your technological development. You have only recently achieved faster-than-light travel, and your method is, let me find the right word, quaint. You compress space using massive amounts of energy and hope your mathematics are correct. It is like watching a child try to move a mountain by pushing it with their hands. More laughter. Third, your biological limitations. You exist on a single planet, one world. Do you know how many worlds the hive occupies? 12,000. The collective exists in 700 star systems simultaneously. The whispers can communicate instantly across the entire galaxy. And you send radio signals that take years to travel between your own star system's planets. Sarah noticed that many of the alien species were nodding, or performing whatever gesture indicated agreement in their culture. Fourth, your social structure. You are individuals, separate consciousnesses, each thinking only of themselves. You have no hive mind, no collective consciousness, no ability to merge thoughts. You argue with each other, fight wars, disagree on basic facts. It would be comedic if it weren't so tragic. The delegate rose, its voice clicking and buzzing through the translator. If I may add, Archon, humanity still uses chemical energy for most of their civilization. They burn ancient organic matter to create heat. They are literally destroying their own planet's atmosphere while claiming to be advanced enough for council membership. An excellent point, the Archon agreed. Your environmental record is appalling. You have contaminated your only world with waste, driven countless species to extinction, and altered your climate so dramatically that your own scientists predict catastrophe. And yet you ask to be trusted with access to other worlds. A being that looked like a floating jellyfish spoke next, its voice bubbly through the translator. They also still experience death from aging, natural death. They have not solved the basic problem of cellular degradation. Most of us achieved biological immortality millions of years ago. They eat other living things, added a plant-like creature from the upper tiers. They consume biological matter. It is barbaric. They sleep, said another voice. For a third of their lives they are unconscious and vulnerable. They feel pain, said yet another. Physical discomfort that serves no purpose in an advanced being. Sarah listened as the council members took turns listing humanity's flaws. Each point was delivered with the same tone of amused superiority, as if they were discussing a clever pet that had learned a simple trick. The Archon let them speak for several minutes before calling for silence. I believe the point has been made. Ambassador, surely you can see why your petition cannot be accepted. Humanity is simply not ready. You lack the technology, the wisdom, the evolution, and frankly the maturity for council membership. Sarah waited to make sure the Archon was finished. When the silence stretched for several seconds, she spoke. May I respond? Of course, the Archon said, though I'm not sure what you could possibly say to address these fundamental inadequacies. I understand the Council's concerns, Sarah said carefully, and I acknowledge that humanity is young compared to your species. We are less advanced in many ways. We have much to learn. Finally, some wisdom, the Archon said. However, Sarah continued, I would like to present one piece of information before you make your final decision. If you must, the Archon sighed. Though I warn you, we have already decided. This is merely a courtesy. Sarah reached into her jacket pocket slowly, making sure everyone could see her movements. The Council's security systems tracked her hand, ready to react if she pulled out a weapon. Instead, she a small data chip. May I use the chamber's display system? She asked. The Archon's lights flickered in a pattern that suggested irritation. Very well, though I fail to see what data you could present that would change our minds. The display system activated, projecting a three-dimensional star map in the space above Sarah's platform. She manipulated it with gestures, zooming in on specific regions. 6 months ago, she said, the Hive encountered a phenomenon near the Carina Nebula. Your ships entered a region of space where your navigation systems failed. Not malfunctioned, not glitched, failed completely. Quantum computers crashed. Your most advanced AI stopped responding. 17 ships were lost before you abandoned the region. The chittering from the delegation stopped immediately. Sarah zoomed to another area of the map. 3 months ago, the collective lost contact with 17 deep space research stations, all of them at the same time. No warning, no distress signals, no energy signatures, just silence. They still haven't come back online. The booming sounds from the section of the chamber ceased. 2 weeks ago, Sarah continued, zooming to a third region, a whisper communion of 10,000 minds attempted to investigate these anomalies telepathically. Only one survived the attempt. That individual has been in a catatonic state ever since, repeating the same phrase in every known language. Too many, too many, too many. The pulsing lights of the whispers dimmed. Sarah let the map hover in the air, the 3 regions highlighted in red. These aren't isolated incidents. 7 other species have reported similar problems in the past year. The lost a colony ship. The PIP had an entire research team vanish. The pattern is spreading. She looked up at the Archon, and none of you can figure out what's causing it. The chamber was completely silent now. You have sent your best scientists, Sarah said quietly. You have used your quantum probability calculators, your hive mind parallel processing, your telepathic investigations, your ability to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. You have thrown the full might of galactic civilization at this problem. She paused. And you have failed. The Archon's crystalline structure refracted light in sharp, angry patterns. Are you suggesting that humanity, with your primitive technology and limited understanding, has succeeded where we have not? Sarah looked directly at the Archon. She raised her right hand slowly, making sure every being in the chamber could see. She lifted one finger. Yes, she said simply. The chamber erupted into chaos. Part 2. The noise was overwhelming. Thousands of alien voices, each translated into overlapping streams of demands, questions, and accusations. Sarah stood perfectly still on the floating platform, her single finger still raised, waiting. The Archon's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Silence. The word wasn't shouted, but it filled the chamber completely, drowning out every other sound. The effect was immediate. Every species went quiet. Explain yourself, Ambassador, the Archon said. Its crystalline structure was glowing now, bright enough that Sarah had to squint. She recognized anger in the light patterns. You claim to have solved a problem that has baffled the greatest minds in the galaxy. This is either the most important discovery in 1,000 years, or the most foolish lie ever told in this chamber. Sarah lowered her hand. It's not a lie, and it's not a particularly impressive discovery, honestly. That's the whole point. Then share it, snapped the delegate. If you actually have information relevant to our losses, you are obligated under first contact protocols to provide it immediately. I'm happy to share, Sarah said. But first, I'd like to establish what this information is worth. The Archon's lights flickered in a pattern Sarah's translator interpreted as dangerous amusement. You wish to negotiate. Now, how very human, always thinking about profit even in the face of galactic crisis. Not profit, Sarah corrected. Value, there's a difference. And yes, I want to establish the value of what humanity is offering before I give it away for free. A floating jellyfish being pulsed with color. The Council does not negotiate with non-member species. We offer knowledge freely to all. Really? Sarah pulled up another display, showing a dense document filled with text. Because according to Council Regulation 7 Alpha 443, Section 12, Paragraph 9, any species providing unique solutions to galactic-level problems is entitled to immediate consideration for membership, along with access to restricted knowledge archives and technology sharing agreements. She smiled slightly. I spent 3 months reading your regulations, all 47,000 pages. It was very boring but educational. The Archon was quiet for a moment. You are correct. That regulation does exist. It was written 800,000 years ago and has never been invoked. Then I'm invoking it now, Sarah said. Humanity has solved your problem. We want membership. Assuming your solution is valid, the Archon said carefully. It is. Prove it. Sarah manipulated the display again. The star map returned, but now it showed additional data overlaid on the 3 red zones she'd highlighted earlier. Blue lines began appearing, connecting the zones in a specific pattern. What are we looking at? Asked the representative. A pattern, Sarah said. A very simple one, the kind of pattern you learn about in high school on Earth. She zoomed out, showing more of the galaxy. More red zones appeared, dozens of them, each connected by blue lines. The lines formed a spiral. This is a spiral, Sarah explained. It's a mathematical sequence where each number is the sum of the 2 before it. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and so on. This pattern appears everywhere in nature on Earth. Seashells, flower petals, the way leaves arrange themselves on a stem, the spiral of our galaxy itself. The display zoomed further, showing how the red zones followed the spiral pattern with near-perfect precision. Your anomalies aren't random, Sarah continued. They're following this sequence, spreading outward from a central point at the edge of the galaxy. Each new zone appears at a location predicted by the spiral. A whisper spoke, its voice echoing in Sarah's mind as well as through the translator. Impossible. We analyzed the locations of the anomalies. We used quantum probability matrices to search for patterns. We found nothing. I know, Sarah said. We accessed your published research. Your methods were very sophisticated. Too sophisticated, actually. How can a method be too sophisticated? Demanded the delegate. When you're using quantum calculations to find a pattern that exists in classical mathematics, Sarah said. Your computers were looking for complex solutions because that's what they're designed to find. But sometimes the answer is simple. She pulled up another display, this one showing lines of mathematics. A human student named figured this out. He's 19 years old, studying astronomy at a university in Australia. He was looking at the data for a homework assignment and recognized the spiral, not because he's a genius, but because he learned about sequences when he was 12. The chamber was silent. Sarah could feel the weight of thousands of intelligences processing this information, trying to find the flaw in her logic. Even if the pattern is real, the Archon said slowly, what does it mean? What is causing these anomalies? That's where it gets interesting, Sarah said. She manipulated the display to show a simulation. We believe we're seeing a naturally occurring phenomenon we're calling a reality cascade. It's a region of space where the fundamental constants of physics are shifting. Not by much, just tiny variations in things like the speed of light, the gravitational constant, the strength of electromagnetic forces. That's impossible, said the jellyfish being. The fundamental constants are, by definition, constant. They are in most of space, Sarah agreed. But space itself isn't perfectly uniform. There are quantum fluctuations, areas where the fabric of reality is slightly different. Usually these variations are so small they don't matter. But occasionally, under specific conditions, these fluctuations can cascade, creating expanding zones where the constants shift just enough to cause problems. She zoomed in on one of the red zones. In these areas, the speed of light is 0.0001% slower than normal. Not much, right? But if your navigation systems rely on faster-than-light travel calculated to the 15th decimal place, that tiny variation is enough to cause catastrophic failures. Our quantum computers crashed, the delegate said quietly. Completely crashed. We thought it was an attack. Not an attack, Sarah said. Your quantum computers operate by exploiting the normal laws of physics. When those laws change, even slightly, the computers encounter paradoxes they can't resolve. They freeze or shut down to prevent damage. Spoke, its deep voice vibrating through the chamber. Our research stations used autonomous AI to maintain themselves. The AI stopped functioning. Same reason, Sarah said. Your AI are incredibly sophisticated, making decisions based on perfect understanding of physics. When physics changes, their decision trees break down. They can't adapt because they're too specialized. And the whispers, asked one of the light beings, its voice small and frightened. Why did our communion fail? Sarah's expression softened. Your telepathy works by quantum entanglement of consciousness across space. You're literally sharing thoughts through quantum connections. In a reality cascade zone, those connections become unstable. The surviving whisper is repeating too many because they experience their consciousness fragmenting into multiple contradictory states simultaneously. It would be like trying to think every possible thought at the same time. She paused. I'm sorry, we're working on treatments, but we don't know if they'll help. The Archon's lights had shifted to a color Sarah's translator, labeled as deep concern. If these cascades are spreading in a predictable pattern, can you tell us where the next zones will appear? Yes, Sarah said. She pulled up a new map showing projected locations in yellow. Based on the sequence, we've predicted the next 47 zones. They'll appear over the next 8 months. After that, the pattern becomes more complex, but we have preliminary models for the 2 years following. She zoomed out to show the full galaxy. Nearly a third of it was covered in red zones, yellow predictions, or connecting spiral lines. This is worse than we thought, the Archon said quietly. These zones will cut through major trade routes, isolate colonies, destroy the communication network. The economic damage alone would be catastrophic. It's worse than that, Sarah said. The cascades are expanding. Each zone grows at a predictable rate. In 5 years, they'll overlap, creating a continuous region where your technology doesn't work. In 10 years, that region will cover 60% of the galaxy. The chamber erupted again, but this time the noise was fear, not mockery. This is an extinction-level event, the representative said. For technological civilization, at least. We cannot survive without our technology. Most of you can't, Sarah agreed, but humans can. Every eye in the chamber focused on her again. Explain, the Archon demanded. Sarah smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. You mocked us for being primitive, for using chemical propulsion and desperate mathematics, for being individuals without hive minds or quantum consciousness, for eating, sleeping, dying, feeling pain. She gestured at the map. All of those primitive traits make us uniquely suited to survive in the cascade zones. Our ships use conventional engines that don't rely on precise physical constants. Our computers are simple enough to function with slightly altered physics. Our consciousness is isolated, so quantum fluctuations don't fragment our minds. We're used to working with imperfect information and adapting on the fly. You're saying humanity can operate in the zones where we cannot, the delegate said. Not just operate, Sarah said. Thrive. While you were laughing at our primitive technology, we were accidentally building exactly what's needed to survive this crisis. Our weakness is our strength. She manipulated the display one more time, showing a network of green markers scattered throughout the predicted cascade zones. These are refuge stations we've already begun constructing, 500 so far, with plans for 10,000 more. Each one uses simple technology that will function in altered physics. Each one has supplies, medical facilities, and navigation data. You've been preparing for this, the Archon said. For how long? 3 months, Sarah said. Since identified the pattern, we've been working around the clock, building stations and charting safe routes. We knew we'd need to present this to the Council eventually, but we wanted to have solutions ready, not just problems. Safe routes, the jellyfish being asked. Sarah highlighted blue lines on the map, threading between the red zones. Navigation paths through the cascade zones. We've charted them using magnetic compasses, stellar cartography, and good old-fashioned visual confirmation. No quantum calculations required. Any ship with basic propulsion can follow these routes safely. Magnetic compasses, the delegate repeated. You're using technology we abandoned 100 million years ago. Sometimes old technology is the right technology, Sarah said. The Archon's lights shifted through several colors in rapid succession. Sarah's translator couldn't identify the emotion, which probably meant the Archon was feeling several things at once. Ambassador, the Archon finally said, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I formally request that humanity share all data regarding the reality cascades, including predictions, navigation routes, and refuge station locations. Sarah raised her finger again. One condition, she said. Part 3. The Archon's crystalline structure flared so bright that Sarah had to look away. When it spoke, its voice was cold enough to freeze nitrogen. You dare negotiate while civilizations face extinction. Sarah met its gaze, or what she assumed was its gaze, hard to tell with a being made of living crystal. You dared to laugh at us while we were trying to help you, so yes, I dare. We could simply take this information, the delegate said. Its mandibles clicked threateningly. Your ship's computers contain all your data. Our technology is far superior to yours. We could extract everything in minutes. You could try, Sarah agreed. But our ship's computer is deliberately primitive. No quantum storage, no neural networks, no AI assistance. Just old-fashioned encrypted data on physical drives. By the time you crack the encryption, assuming you even could with conventional computing, the next cascade zones will have appeared. People will die while you're trying to steal what we're offering to share. What exactly are you demanding? The Archon asked. Sarah took a breath. This was the moment. 3 months of preparation, countless debates with Earth's government, and now she had to get it exactly right. Full council membership for humanity, she said. Immediate with all rights and privileges. No probationary period, no restrictions, no gradual integration. We join as equals starting today. Impossible, said the representative. There are procedures, requirements, standards that must be met. Council Regulation 7 Alpha 443, Sarah repeated. Section 12, Paragraph 9. Species providing unique solutions to galactic-level problems are entitled to immediate membership consideration. I'm not asking for consideration. I'm demanding approval. Even if we agreed, the said, membership requires unanimous council vote. There are over 3,000 member species. Getting them all to agree would take months. Then you'd better work fast, Sarah said, because the next cascade zone appears in 17 days. It's going to cut through the Orion trade route, stranding about 40 million beings in a region where their ships won't work. We have refuge stations ready and evacuation plans prepared, but we're only sharing them with council members. You would let people die to make a political point. The Archon's voice was sharp with disgust. No, Sarah said firmly. We would let people die to make a practical point. Humanity has the resources, knowledge, and ability to help, but we're not your servants or your charity. We're not going to do all the work while you keep treating us like primitive children. You want our help, treat us as equals. The chamber fell silent. Sarah could feel the tension in the air, thick enough to cut. A new voice spoke up, one Sarah hadn't heard before. It was musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. The speaker was a being that resembled a collection of floating geometric shapes, slowly rotating around each other. I am Speaker Vex of the Assembly, it said. I have been a council member for 12,000 years. In that time, I have seen countless species petition for membership. Most are, some are accepted, all are judged by their merit and character. The shapes rotated faster. Ambassador, what you're doing right now is extortion. You are holding lives hostage to force political concessions. This is not the behavior of a species worthy of council membership. Sarah nodded slowly. You're absolutely right, it is extortion. It's manipulative, ruthless, and morally questionable. She looked around the chamber, making eye contact with as many beings as she could. But do you know what else it is? It's effective. It's practical. It's using the leverage we have to get what we need. And isn't that exactly what every species in this council does? We do not, Vex began. The hive controls 70% of the galaxy's food production, Sarah interrupted. You use that control to influence council votes, don't you? Supporting species who vote your way with trade deals, punishing those who don't with tariffs and restrictions. The chittering from the section was angry now, but no one contradicted her. The collective provides 80% of the advanced medical technology in council space. You've used that position to push through regulations that benefit your species, haven't you? The electromagnetic fields crackled with irritation. The whispers share information freely, except when they don't. You've crucial intelligence from species you don't trust, haven't you? The pulsing lights dimmed, which Sarah took as confirmation. Every species here uses their advantages to get what they want, Sarah said. You just call it diplomacy instead of extortion. The only difference is that humanity is being honest about it. Honesty born of desperation, the Archon observed. You know you cannot compete with us in traditional terms, so you're forcing the issue now, while you hold something we need. Exactly, Sarah said. Because if we don't, you'll take what you need from us and then go back to treating us like pets. In 5 years, when the crisis is over, you'll deny our membership petition again because we're still too young, too primitive, too different. We'll have saved the galaxy and got nothing in return but your condescending pats on the head. She crossed her arms. So yes, I'm forcing the issue. I'm using the only leverage humanity has ever had over you, and I'm not apologizing for it. The Archon's lights flickered through a rapid series of colors. When it spoke again, its voice was different. Not warm exactly, but less hostile. Almost respectful. You are right, of course. We would likely have done exactly what you described. It is the pattern we have followed with other primitive species who provided value. We take what we need and offer little in return, justifying it with talk of standards and requirements. The massive crystalline being seemed to dim slightly. I have existed for 900 million years, Ambassador. I have seen civilizations rise and fall. I have witnessed the birth of stars and the death of galaxies. In all that time, I have rarely been surprised. The lights brightened again. You have surprised me, not with your solution to the cascade problem, though that is impressive, but with your audacity, your willingness to gamble everything on this moment. Your species has existed for a cosmic, and yet you stand here and demand we treat you as equals. Because we are equals, Sarah said quietly. Different, yes. Younger, absolutely. Less advanced in most ways, I won't argue that. But equal in value, equal in rights, equal in our entitlement to respect and fair treatment. Even if it means people die while we debate, Vex asked. Sarah's expression hardened. People are dying right now because the Council ignored this problem. The lost 17 ships 6 months ago. The lost 17 stations 3 months ago. The Whispers lost 9,999 mines 2 weeks ago. How many more have died while the Council's bureaucracy moved at its usual pace? She pointed at the holographic map. We identified this problem 3 months ago. We immediately started building solutions. We could have saved those ships, those stations, those mines, if you had listened to us from the beginning. Instead, you laughed. The chamber was absolutely silent. So don't you dare blame humanity for the deaths that might occur in the next 17 days, Sarah continued, her voice rising. We're trying to prevent those deaths. We've been trying since we figured out what was happening. The only thing standing between salvation and catastrophe right now is your pride. She lowered her voice. Vote, approve our membership, let us help, or don't, and explain to your people why you let them die rather than accept help from a species you consider beneath you. The Archon's lights pulsed slowly, thoughtfully. You have made your point, Ambassador. I will call for a vote. Now, Sarah asked. Now, the Archon confirmed. This is an emergency session. Under Council rules, we can vote immediately if the matter concerns galactic survival. I believe this qualifies. The lights in the chamber shifted as communication networks activated. Sarah knew that every council member species was being contacted, informed of the situation, asked to cast their vote. With faster-than-light communication, it would take less than an hour. She waited on her platform, trying to look confident. Inside, her heart was pounding. This was the biggest gamble in human history. If the council voted no, if they called her bluff, Earth would share the information anyway. They'd have to. She wasn't actually willing to let people die. But the council didn't know that. And that uncertainty was the only leverage humanity had. 37 minutes later, the Archon spoke. The vote is complete. 3,214 species were eligible to vote. 3,214 votes have been cast. Sarah held her breath. The result is unanimous. Humanity is granted full membership in the Galactic Council, effective immediately. All rights, privileges, and responsibilities of membership are hereby extended to your species. The chamber erupted in sound. Sarah wasn't sure if it was celebration or protest, possibly both. Additionally, the Archon continued, speaking over the noise, humanity is granted emergency authorization to coordinate the Cascade crisis response. Ambassador, you are hereby appointed as the Council's chief crisis coordinator, with full authority to direct resources and personnel as needed. Sarah blinked. That wasn't something she'd asked for. Thank you, will do everything we can to. Do not thank me, the Archon interrupted. This is not a gift, it is a necessity. You solved the problem, therefore you must help fix it. That is the price of membership. I understand, Sarah said. She pulled out her data chip again. I'm transmitting all our information now. Cascade predictions, navigation routes, refuge station locations, evacuation protocols, everything. Her small human computer interfaced with the Council's systems, uploading terabytes of data. It took almost a minute, which was an eternity in galactic networking terms. Sarah smiled at that. Even her data transfer speeds were primitive. Received, the Archon confirmed. My analysts are reviewing it now. There was a pause. It's all here, the Archon said, and Sarah thought she detected surprise in its voice. Complete data, nothing held back. You're really sharing everything. Of course, Sarah said. We're council members now, we help each other. Yes, the Archon said slowly, we do. Sarah looked around the chamber one more time. Thousands of alien species, each more advanced than humanity in countless ways. And now, finally, they were looking at her with something other than mockery. Some showed respect, some showed relief, some showed anger or resentment, but none of them were laughing. She raised her hand again, one finger extended upward. This, she said clearly, is how humans count. We start with one solution, one chance, one moment that changes everything. She lowered that finger and raised a different one. Her middle finger, extended alone, pointing upward. And this, she said with a slight smile, is another human gesture. I won't explain it now. You can look it up in Earth's cultural database. I think you'll find it very educational. She turned and walked off the platform, heading for the massive doors. Behind her, she heard the Archon's voice, speaking to the entire council. All members begin implementing ambassadors' protocols immediately. Redirect ships, evacuate danger zones, establish supply lines to the refuge stations. We have 17 days. The doors opened before Sarah reached them. She walked through without looking back. In the corridor outside, her small human ship waited, primitive and simple, and exactly what the galaxy needed. She boarded it alone, sat in the pilot's seat, and allowed herself a single moment of pure relief. They'd done it. Against all odds, against all expectations, humanity had earned its place among the stars. Not through superior technology, not through ancient wisdom, not through military might, but through simplicity, audacity, and one extremely well-timed middle finger. Sarah started the engines, those simple chemical rockets that the Council had mocked. They fired perfectly, pushing her ship forward with reliable, predictable force. "Setting course for Earth," she said into the recorder. "Mission accomplished. Returning home with full Council membership. All glory to the simple solutions." She paused, then added with a grin, "Also, I may have offended the entire Galactic Council with a rude gesture. Someone should probably prepare a diplomatic apology. Or not. We're equals now. They can deal with it." The ship accelerated, carrying her back toward a small blue planet where simple humans were already building the salvation of an entire galaxy, one practical solution at a time.